Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. This week, we have a couple brothers that coming to America, but coming to America to share their authentic West African cuisine and spirits. We have Kofi and Keith from the Bloom Bar. Welcome to the show, fellas.
Hi. Thank you very much, Detroit. Thank you for having us today.
Oh, pleasure to have you both, man. So let's just get into the genesis of your partnership. How did you two guys get together on the business and creative front?
Okay, so Adam and I have known each other for a very long time. We are friends that have become brothers and have become business partners. We've known each other for over 30 years. So it's a long-standing relationship. And over the years, we've obviously shared a lot of dreams that along the line, it seemed like we were both interested in the same thing, which is hospitality. We shared the vision of obviously elevating what was being done in Africa and taking it to the level that uh, the world would appreciate and the world would resonate with whatever we had to share. To tell our own story, to tell our own African story, and have the authentic experience through music, through the food and everything else that we could share from the continent. And while we shared that vision, it just only felt right that we just put things together and make it happen. So 2017, uh, we kicked off the whole story of Bloom Bar, and then it's been history since.
Okay, so yeah, you mentioned kicking off that dream in 2017 in Ghana. So just talk about the trials and tribulations as far as getting it off the ground on the homeland and trying to win over that support.
Yeah.
Um, to start off, it was there were challenges. Trying to start off the brand and just have that quality, world class quality that we wanted to implement.
So I would also say the challenges that we faced were individually we had our challenges because at the time Adam was living in the States and I was living in Ghana. And I had to obviously do the research on the ground to find out if Ghanaians will be accommodating of the concepts because at the time what we are trying to push was a cocktail bar. That is how we started. We started off as a cocktail bar, and I remember very well that when we started talking to a few people back in the day, they would laugh at the concept. It wasn't they couldn't think beyond the idea of the cocktail bar. They couldn't see when we spoke about creating a vibe and bringing people together under one roof where we were bridging the gap for the middle class to have a space for themselves. Because one of the opportunities that we identified back in the day was in Ghana, they did not. When the space was being created, it was either being created for the high end or for the low end, right? So we identified the opportunity of bringing something that was high end but had affordable drinks or a great, or should I say, high ambience and high end ambience, but the drinks and the food were affordable for the middle class. And the challenge was there in raising money and putting the concept together because no one actually believed in it. It didn't make a lot of sense for people to try and create such a space because they felt like, what are you going to do with cocktails? How are people going to like come in there and just come and have cocktails? It just did not make sense. But Adam had the secret recipe as a mixologist and as someone that had lived in Ghana for some number of years. He understood the palate. He understood that if at the time majority of the spaces were offering cocktails and they would give you about 25 ml.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it was the measurement was about half an ounce. So it's basically half of what was used worldwide for for the main recipes. The other challenging thing I would say was as young Ghanaians, a lot of the main places were foreign owned. So since this place were foreign owned, it wasn't really catered to, I'll say, the young Ghanaian. It was all about making as much money and not giving the experience that we felt like Ghanaians deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to touch on the half an ounce thing, what I was trying to land on was an opportunity we identified when we did the numbers. We realized that if we could even top it up by another half an ounce, it still would give people value for money in this space that we're trying to create. And that was the secret. Like when people come in there and then they buy the cocktails off of one drink, the party gets started, and then they felt like they were in the mood. They felt like those was their money's worth for this drink. And these were the little things this is the research and things that we did. And these were some of the challenges that we had to overcome to, get the concept up and kicking.
So, like, at what point during, I guess, this first trimester of a Bloom Bar, did you feel like we're really starting to gain traction? We have something here, versus the moments where you felt like potentially giving up?
So I'll say that the trajectory for Bloom Bar is very unique. Right when we hit the ground running, from the first day we opened, we became essentially the market leaders. So we started out at a rooftop in 2017 with a capacity of about 60 people.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to have a lot of problems with capacity. We felt bad because people wanted to experience our product, but we couldn't accommodate all the people that were coming in. So our trajectory is very, very unique.
Yeah, it was a very peculiar trajectory because straight from the onset, the place was packed, and it had been like that from 2017 all the way through. It never stopped. And we there was no point in time. The only point in time where we felt like this was too much was when we were tired of working. That was the only time. But we love what we love what we do, and this would sometimes take you away from your family, because since 2017, I could say we've never had the opportunity to spend time with family, parents, nothing for Christmas, no holiday. It takes away your life, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's the sad part about this kind of job, that people are out mostly on festive days to party, so you kind of have to sacrifice a lot to give them that, and that comes at a cost, so
Mm-hmm.
that is the only sad part about this, doing this job. It takes a lot away from you.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned early in the interview that in 2017, Keith, you was here in the States, and Kofi, you was still over in Ghana. Talk about the conversations that was had, in which you guys decided, we need to expand this brand and bring it over here to the States.
So that happened not in 2017, but that happened somewhere from 2019. So from 2019, we started taking a lot of trips. Prior to that, Adam grew up in New York, and I was always visiting him here in New York over a
Mhm.
very long period. And we always had New York in our heart because we just could connect with the space. We could connect with the people there. We could tell that if we could have the opportunity to do something, one day New York would be the place. So we had it in our mind and in our hearts. But as we traveled and we visited all these top bars and these top restaurants, because we did this thing where we always tried to expand our vision and see what the top spaces were doing worldwide, so we could see what we could bring back home. When we did these trips, we realized that we're not far from what they were doing. So, given the opportunity, if we are able to do what we do and kind of uh, um, entertain the guests that we were entertaining, because we had all the high end people come into our space. We were entertaining all the Banner Boys, the Davido, the Wizkid. They were constantly in our spaces when they came to Ghana. We had uh, it's got a lot of people, all these soccer players and everyone.
We became the essential go-to location.
Yeah.
When people get to Ghana, we had NBA players, NFL players, baseball players, soccer players, and celebrities. All the celebrities that came from the year of the return. We were essentially the go-to place
Yeah.
for nightlife.
Yeah. So while that was happening, you would ask yourself the question: is have we capped? Have we hit the point where the market cannot grow any bigger than it is? And if we are able to render services to all these guys that come in who are going to all these places in the rest of the world, can we not take what we do and be a destination somewhere else? So the conversation started based on all these things that was happening in our life.
And also, we realized the people, the celebrities and the diaspora kept coming back because they appreciated the quality that we're offering. So we realized that if we're able to offer these services and experience on a limited with limited amenities, if we had the opportunity to have quality amenities around us and an established system and structure, maybe the sky's the limit for us. So it was time to just, I guess, spread our wings a
Yeah,
bit.
and look out. Yeah. So the conversation
Mhm.
started in
So
2019.
right. So why did you choose Atlanta over New York or Houston or DC?
Well, number one, I would love to say Atlanta when we first visited Atlanta in 2018. And as business guys, we in doing our research, we realized that Atlanta provided the support of the grounds for black owned businesses. And I say this to mean if we look at the trajectory of the businesses that open in places, black owned businesses that open in places like New York, very few of them are able to have the kind of money to penetrate a market like Manhattan. And you are also not very certain how to you can mitigate a few risks here and there to potentially see it succeed, but the risk is high. Whereas in Atlanta, you can come here and then pick a place like Midtown, West Midtown. It's not as expensive as starting your first venture in America. It's not as expensive as Manhattan, and you can take that risk and mitigate a few things here and there. But then again, also have the support from the way the community is over here to at least give you that push to succeed. So that was what made us choose Atlanta.
Hmm. All right. So like with the I'd say the immense popularity of Afro beats, um, I think there's an insatiable appetite not only for the music but the culture as a whole here in the United States. Just talk about how that phenomenon carries over to what you guys do with Bloom Bar and in the cocktail and culinary scene.
Um, we find ourselves in a time where I guess we would say it's the right time. Everything
Hmm.
is aligning time wise. Since there's an appetite for people to experience what Africa has to offer right now, it gives us a window to really express what we do back home and just package it well for our guests.
Yeah. I mean, just to add to what Adam also is saying, we've all seen, like what he's saying, we've seen the rise of music of Afrobeats, and we've seen how I like to say this personal thing where I go like, yeah, I think Afrobeats is really doing well because it's not about just the vibe, but the culture is really cool now. Like what we sell is really cool because social media in its non-existent form back in the day did not allow us to showcase how cool the culture can be. But now internet, social media has made it possible. And when people started turning their ears and eyes to Africa through social media, and we were able to tell the story of what we had to offer, it's almost as if they've been rinsing what they've had in most in the western part of the world. They've been rinsing what they've had over and over, and then not just from the music scene, but even if you look at movies, even if you look at art, if you look at food, ours became like the new thing to jump on if you wanted to try something different or try something new. So we became the new cool thing. So when you embody these things and you put them in your business, where we provide the grounds where we create the ambience to listen to the coolest music, the latest music, we have the best DJs that are able to present them to you in a way that just gets you in a vibe, which you don't get anywhere. and then we are giving you the food and then the drinks, the food with ingredients that you don't often taste, because it's not that available until you go looking for it. We present that to you in a very interesting manner that makes you enjoy eating African food. All these things, when internet helped make this thing very possible, and we just are capitalizing on that to introduce the modern African, concepts here.
I'll also say from growing up in New York as a first generation Ghanaian, I'm a bit older, so from the early 2000s and the 90s, we as Africans never got the chance to tell our story our way. It was always told for us with perceptions from the past or the idea of what West Africa or Africa is. But now through social media, I'll say with Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, people have the chance to really see the culture for what it is and understand that it's not what was told. It's actually a very unique culture where people are vibrant, get to express themselves. Our food is unique. Everything is not too distant. So that's why I also say with the rise with the diaspora, especially with Ghana, people going back and feeling very comfortable there is because people had the chance with from social media videos to experience what the essence of the new West African or modern West Africa is. So we also have the opportunity to, apart from hosting people back in Ghana, bring it to the diaspora over here.
Dr. Todd McLean provides periodontal and dental implant services in 2 convenient locations. They offer over a decade of experience treating patients, and appointments can even be scheduled in the evenings, weekends, or early mornings. Give them a call in Chapel Hill at 919-537-9774 or in Durham at 919-484-8338 or visit them online at gumsandimplants.org.
All right, so like my wife, she's Nigerian, and like often times when we go out to dinner, trying out a new restaurant, she'll ask the waiter, like, what's a meal on the menu that resonates with you or that you suggest that I try? So I'm asking both of you, like, what's a meal on Bloom Bar's menu that I should try, or a cocktail that just speaks your language?
Okay, so I'll start with I'll go back to my bartending days or days when I used to work in a restaurant. I'll ask what's your favorite dish or what's your favorite drink?
For me, right now I'm on mojitos because I'm down in Miami, so I'm always drinking a mojito. But I love rum punch too. So if you have a rum punch on the menu, I'll take that all day.
That's perfect. We have one of our best selling drinks called a Bloom Punch. It's similar to rum punch and has a little twist to it. So I'll go with the Bloom Punch for you. And
Okay.
how about your favorite dish?
Seafood all day.
Okay. We have grilled prawns. That's glazed with, I don't know if you know this local black pepper in Ghana. It's called shito.
Uh-huh.
So it's glazed with shito and honey, and it's very good. So that's a bit of a that's one of our main sellers.
Cool.
And seafood fried rice.
Yes.
Since you love seafood, we also have spicy seafood fried rice. Let me put it there. Spicy seafood fried rice. Yeah.
West African spicy, not
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what about those that can't really handle the kick? Do you have options that are more for the mild palate?
Definitely. So what we have on our menu is we'll give people the option. First, we'll let them know that our definition of spicy is a bit is spicy. So we'll give people the option of picking something that's mildly spicy, medium spicy, or regular West African spicy. So people have the preference to, if they really want to delve into or try
For the adventurous people.
yes, for that very
Uh-huh.
adventurous.
Yeah, so like, how do you guys preserve the tradition? Because I mean, I'm assuming when people enter the Bloom Bar, for a meal, they're anticipating the authentic flavors from West Africa. Is it easy to translate those flavors from Ghana to Atlanta, or do y'all have to kind of put a different twist on it in certain occasions?
All right, so I wouldn't say a twist. So this is the unique thing about I would say, modern West African cuisine. The modern West African cuisine is a fusion of a lot of cuisines, from Indian, Chinese, European, because of transatlantic slavery. You had a lot of different people and different cultures mixed in with our local food also. So I'll say, for example, the street food, fried rice is one of the biggest street food in Ghana. If you go to a lot of local places, they even call is it check.
Yeah.
Yes, they call it check. That's the local name for it, but it's essentially fried rice. And you can start from fried rice, where you can add different proteins to it. So that's how we came up with our spicy fried rice, seafood fried rice. So it's essentially elevating the street food.
Are you still there?
Yeah, man. So no, that was so essentially elevating our local street food.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so like I said, my wife is Nigerian, and I've also attended Afro-Tech recently, and they had the Jollof Festival.
Mhm.
I noticed that bragging rights amongst the countries in the diaspora is very intense. Like Nigerians, they claim they make the best jollof rice. Sierra Leone, Ghana, like, stake your claim. Why is Ghana the king of jollof rice, and what makes it so special?
Well, I'll say that really comes down to just everyone supporting where they're from.
Exactly.
I don't think anyone has the best. And I just saw this commercial from this bank,
Chase Bank.
Chase Bank, where they came out with the whole Unity Jollof rice. You know, where you bring everything together. I really think it really comes down to you just what you grew up around,
Your preference.
what you
Yeah.
grew up around, and then yeah. So obviously, if we both sit here and say which one is the best, we'll say definitely Ghana
Ghana.
Jollof. You know,
But if I end up in a city, like if I end up in one of the streets of New York and I see a Senegalese restaurant, I'll go over there, order jollof. If I see a Nigerian restaurant, I'll order jollof. But it's more of, I'll say, like, your loyalty and your pride in your country.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, we all have good jollof.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So if you did a blind tasting, you could instantly distinguish between the different
for sure,
styles.
for sure,
Yeah.
Okay.
for sure,
Yeah.
Nice.
definitely.
All right, so how are things working out in Atlanta so far? Do you feel like the city, is gravitating towards Bloom Bar, and are there plans to expand to another city anytime soon?
So far, Atlanta has been amazing, very, very amazing. People have been supportive. People are willing to help us in any which way we need. So we're ready to just get the ball rolling. But we're grateful for all the support so far in Atlanta.
Atlanta has been good. We are really Brandy has been amazing with the level of work she's putting in to really push the brand and put things out there, and it's creating a lot of anticipation for what we have to offer, which is a very good thing, because then now we know we cannot disappoint Brandy. Um, so we are doing our best to just make sure we meet that energy, because we do not settle for mediocrity, and we go all out for everything. So being out here, we are also being very humble and patient in learning everything we can about the city before we move. We are not acting like we know or understand the city. No, we've been here for over a year now. We keep visiting places. We keep asking questions. We keep trying to understand the mindset on how they move, what draws people into spaces, what pushes people away from spaces, even to the point where you want to know how your setup can bring people in or how your setup can push people away, the kind of music you play, the kind of things you introduce in your space, like hookah, which is a very big conversation here. What how people feel about the idea of hookah and all of these are all things that we are learning. So what it does to your brand is we have what we do back home as Bloom Bar. In as much as we are going to have elements of Bloom within the space in Atlanta, America is kind of making us is pushing us to the point of stepping it up as much as possible because a lot of people here have experienced top level hospitality, and we are trying our very best to make sure our drinks, our plates, our glassware, our chairs, ambience, everything can match the top places in every city that potentially we would visit. So yeah, Atlanta being a stepping stone is, towards all those things. We have to make sure we get it right. So we're on top of that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so just talk about, I'd say, being role models. I mean, because I know that with the success of Bloom Bar over in Ghana, um, it's an opportunity for you to be pillars in the community. Just talk about how you engage, with that local community and the initiatives that you have on the horizon to foster a sense of belonging and inclusivity.
So Ghana is quite different, if I have to be honest. We People would admire you from a distance
Mm-hmm.
and not really give you your flowers. They would see what you do and you'll be an example for their business, but it is more competitive than supportive.
Right.
Okay. So as if we are to be role models for the industry, what I would like to say is we in 2017, before we opened Bloombar as a space, we had to fight the mindset and the myopic mindset of the industry where they felt like young people coming into the space as bar owners was not prestigious enough. Um, it wasn't a cool business to do. It wasn't a very attractive business for you to go to school, have your master's degree, and say you're going to open a bar. You would kind of the system was set up to respect people that came out as doctors, engineers, bankers, and all of that, right? So we had to fight that mindset and we had to fight that stigma and set up something that could have people convinced that, oh, wow, you can actually set up a bar and make a living from it. Okay. So while doing that, we also had to fight the stigma of young people who have set up a business and were looking for support from even the banking sectors. It was non-existent where you could walk in as a bar owner around a certain age and say, hey, I've been able to run business for 3 years. These are my numbers. I want to expand and I want you as a bank to support me. They will not. They will look at you and they will laugh. Okay. So we had to fight that from 2018, 2019, all the way through. When we're finally able to even convince a bank to support our expansion somewhere in 2020, guess what? COVID hit. So we never or have ever had the support of the banking sector. We've had a lot of pushbacks. Um, the system is set up in a way that it is very difficult to raise money from these financial institutions because these financial institutions often have quotas and certain spaces that they look at. They look at maybe the agricultural sector, they look at maybe the insurance sector or other sectors where they've been told that mining sector, oil and gas, where they've been told there's a lot of money. So a lot of banks focus on supporting these areas. Okay. We were not on their map. Bloomberg changed that. Bloomberg changed the perception of how they view hospitality in Ghana because we set it to a level where they could tell that, wow, this business can generate this amount of money, can employ this number of people, and can support the community, it is something that we need to support. So when we opened the way and we changed the perception, or this, we broke that stigma, a lot of young people started to now set up their own businesses and come into that space. So you see that a lot of Ghanaians were now coming into the space, which was predominantly run by a lot of foreigners who had the financial power. Okay, they were these foreigners were supported by their banks from their countries at very low interest rates, so they could come in and they could set up very premium spaces. But we had to look for ways to make it happen. Either you're borrowing from a friend or borrowing from an uncle somewhere to make it happen. So when we broke that stigma and we changed that perception about the space, we set a certain standard as well. So what happened was anyone that decided to now join that hospitality space would now use Bloom Bar as a benchmark. You don't want to do anything below that. You want to come in with top cocktails. You want to come in with great service. You want to come in with a beautiful ambience. So it set a whole chain for a lot of spaces to now open and bring Bloom Bar to competition, which is very interesting in Ghana. Because I would say for about 3-4 years, it was more of a monopoly when we brought in that level of a bar, which was non-existent. So that's a little bit of some history there.
Nah, well said, well said. Because I will say, being married to my wife, just having that front row seat, and it's like she's a doctor, and it's like there's a lot of pressure, to come over here and find a career that is financially redeeming, but also beneficial to the community as a whole. And I always sense that there's never a moment that's too big. It's almost like it's ingrained in you to come here and do amazing things. And even if you're having trouble, you have that tight-knit community around you to support you and lift you up. Is that something that you both encountered when you came here? Was that like, no matter what, I'm always going to have the support of my loved ones. They're going to do whatever's necessary to make sure I succeed?
I would it's here and there, and I would explain. Coming here as a business, I believe that we had set a record that made it believable that these guys can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
However, it came down to if anyone would support you, it depends on the capacity in which you wanted their support. We've had a lot of people say to us, guys, it is great you're coming to Atlanta. Now we would have something to do if we're looking for great music and good vibes, because they know we know how to bring that. So those who are looking to support you when you open, we have a lot of people lined up to give that support because there's a need for what we offer. But in terms of setting up as a business, we had to go through the whole cycle again of raising funds, finding good investors, going through the challenges of proving that you can get this done, and all these challenges that come with a startup. It has not been easy, but this time we were fortunate that our track record helped us to connect with the right people that were willing to support, make it happen. So we've had that, but then again, we've also had people who are obviously, you always have naysayers who don't believe that it can be done because they think we are approaching it like it's Ghana. No, before we came out here to set up Bloom Bar, the first thing we did for ourselves was to enroll in a hospitality program in one of the top schools in the country, which is Cornell. So we ensured that we got into Cornell a year before pushing to start something in America. And the reason why we did that was to ensure that we set up our contacts, understand America, understand how the business is run, and see the level to which we can take hospitality. through the people who are running hospitality, which is Cornell. Cornell is number one in hospitality. They have the people, they have the context, and you want to be in that network.
Mhm.
So we also created support systems for ourselves. We were not waiting for people to support because we were Bloom. No, we had to put in the work to convince people that these guys are going the extra mile to win when they get here. So if you're looking at the fact that they are educating themselves, you're looking at the fact that they are building their contacts in the school and all these things that they've done in the past, they are willing to grow. They're building the capacity to receive any level of support that they can get. So these are things that we also did for ourselves in terms of support.
Okay. What legacy do you guys hope to leave when it comes to business growth, coaching, and inspiring the future generation?
I would say as we nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. We started this concept out with, I would say we didn't have something to look at. We created this from scratch. So if you put your mind to it, do the research, put in the work, nothing is impossible. So we know we've already inspired a lot of people back home, and hopefully, once we get the ball rolling in Atlanta, also will inspire other people. But just know that nothing is impossible.
I remember Brandy also asked this question sometime about legacy, and I said to her, when where we started, where we were, and how we started all of this, where we started in a 60 capacity space to grow a business that had 1,200 to 1,500 capacity space in a space of 2 years. The vision for what we are doing, it changes and it grows all the time. So if you'd ask me what legacy we wanted to leave, maybe yesterday, what I'll tell you today is different because each day something inspires you differently that makes you want to do more in terms of leaving a legacy. And as we grow, as we connect with, you know, things that we've never thought of before, the dream and the legacy changes.
Yeah.
So I personally do not have an answer because I feel like I'm at the point where I'm still growing, I'm still learning, I'm still trying to figure out what legacy will we leave with this great mantle that we've been given to be able to take hospitality to the level that we've brought it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So as of today,
yeah.
what's on the vision board? Like, what's next for Bloom Bar? Do you see potentially a festival where you marry the cocktails and the food and the music, and get that um that vibe of West African culture traveling across the country or to Toronto or to Europe?
I see potentially we becoming one of the bars, not event organizers or promoters, but we become a brand, uh, uh, a space or a destination space that would open up in multiple cities to offer people an authentic experience that has both an Afro fusion and whatever concept that we create. Because I said the brand keeps changing for every city. What we're probably going to offer in Atlanta might be a little different from New York, and we have the power to do that because it is our brand. So we get to grow it in whichever way. But we're hoping that along the line we can control, or should I say have a lot of people in our network or in our ecosystem in a way that makes the brand so valuable. And maybe one day, Latroy, you would connect me with Live Nation and they would just buy me for $1 billion and I would sleep.
Oh, let's make it happen.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
fellas. Yeah. So, what do you see when you look in the mirror, both of you?
In terms of, because I see a lot of things when I look in the mirror. So when as myself or in terms of um, work or in terms of what we are going with all that we are doing or our purpose, like in what capacity?
I mean, it's really no limits to this question. Like wherever you take it, as far as you know, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm empowered. I'm looking to continue to make changes, or the vulnerabilities involved in it. Like wherever you want to take it.
Yeah, I see no limits when I look in the mirror. I see no limits to what can be done. Knowing where we are from, I see no limits.
Yeah. I was saying earlier, nothing is impossible.
If someone told me 2 years ago that we'll pay our own fees through an Ivy League program, I would say it's not true. But we've done that. I really see no limits to where we can go with where we are going. So that's what I see when I look in the mirror. Yeah.
All right. What about you, Keith?
Oh, like I was saying earlier, nothing is impossible.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, nothing is impossible. Everything is within reach with hard work, planning, and dedication. So nothing is impossible.
Great. All right. So as we prepare to wind down, feel free to plug your socials. Give us the location. Well, both locations. So when I'm in Atlanta in June, I can stop by and get a bite to eat and get that punch that Keith you was hyping up.
So you can find us right now on Bloombar GH on Instagram or Bloombar ATL on Instagram. You can also get us on if you are in Atlanta, we are located in Buckhead at 3195 Roswell. We are a few seconds from the Buckhead Theater or Buckhead Village. It's just about 1 minute walk from there. You can't miss it. The sign will come up very soon. Very big Bloombar sign. So right on Roswell, we are located here in Atlanta, and yeah, we're looking forward to hosting you, Detroit. Come and have your spicy seafood fried rice.
Will do. All right, fellas. It's a pleasure having you both. Love the story. Very empowering. Continue to expand and have no limits to what you can accomplish. Like I said, special thanks again to Keith and Kofi from the Boom Bar. And for Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, Detroit Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.